Hey, everyone. Being able to educate your board is one of the most important ways for a leader to build strong relationships and foster a positive and productive culture between board members and their executive director. Run by leadership expert Mark Buzan, the nonprofit board summit provides outstanding know-how, resources, and tips for leaders looking to step up and unlock the full potential of their endeavors. If you're a nonprofit executive director looking to build a stronger board, visit nonprofitboardsummit.org/EDS. Or if you're a board member looking to make more of an impact, visit nonprofitboardsummit.org. The Nonprofit Board Summit runs from February 26th through the 28th. I'll hope to see you there.
Struggling to move your nonprofit forward? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Nonprofit Architect, where we are giving you the actionable steps you need to launch and grow your nonprofit organization. Now, here's your host, Travis Johnson.
Hey, thanks for tuning into the show. But before we get started, I wanted to give you all the opportunity to hop in our group at facebook.com/group/nonprofit architect. We're running a contest right now for your chance to win a $200 donation. We're not just building stronger nonprofits by giving you the actionable steps to do what you do better, but we're also putting our money where our mouth is. And if you sign up for the contest, and the rules are in the group, that you will get the chance to win a $200 donation and have a direct, real-world, real-time impact to your mission. If you're struggling with fundraising, if you're unsure of how to handle a board, if you're not sure where to go and what your next steps are because you have this endless list of things to do, you can also sign up for the Nonprofit Architect Alliance Mastermind Group. Real easy, real low barrier of entry at $50 a month to get in with other leaders like yourself that find themselves stuck. Help let other people in the group solve your problems. If you're doing this thing as a solo shop or without a lot of support from your board, it's hard to know who to go talk to. It's hard to know what to do next. And if you're doing this alone, chances are you're not going to get very far. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go as a group. So also in the group, sign up for the Nonprofit Architect Alliance Mastermind Group and let the experts help build your stronger nonprofit each and every month. Now let's go to the interview. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with the lovely Sarah Jean Knox, founder of Sarah the Auctioneer. You know exactly what it is just by the name. Sarah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing fabulous. If I said anything else, I'd be lying, and I'm not a liar.
I love that.
You're up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, one of my favorite states, which is where I was born and where I spent most of my life growing up. We've got the COVID going on. It's the week after the election when we're recording this, and almost everything is done online now. I mean, how do you go from in-person events and auctioneering and transition both of those to online?
Oh, man, that is a loaded question there. Well, back in March, we started by postponing a bunch of events, waiting for the 2-week COVID to be over, right? We all thought it was going to be 2 weeks.
2 weeks, it'll be done. It'll be the best year ever after 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah. And then we started saying, okay, it's not 2 weeks. And so we had to transition these things online thinking, it's better to connect with your audience than not connect with them at all. Right. And at the beginning, we wondered, is this going to work? Are people going to watch? Are we going to be able to engage them? Are they going to be profitable? Right. Mm-hmm. That was the huge question. And everyone kind of came down to, well, it's got to be better than nothing again. Right. If we make any profit, it's better than nothing. But it turns out they are profitable. And most clients of mine and even my other colleagues as auctioneers are seeing that their clients are netting more year over year than last year. So because they are a lot less expensive to produce than a live in-person event. We don't have a venue. We don't have a caterer. We don't have decorations. We don't have all of those things. You're still coming out ahead with the revenue that you're getting after expenses. And so it has been a crazy year. transitioning them, but we've started to see some themes of what works and what doesn't. And some of the things that worked in live events don't work in virtual events, and still some things that are tried and true methods and theories and strategies from your live events. When we transition them over to virtual, they kind of come down to core concepts of how we engage an audience. And that still works, and we're still connecting and providing opportunities for donors to partner with incredible nonprofits.
Well, I imagine that the auctioneering was probably the biggest change, because instead of getting to use that sweet auctioneer chant that you got to show for me before in the old pre-interview here, which I absolutely loved and enjoyed, you're not doing that. You're using something like BidPal to track the bids, and people kind of do it on their own. You just kind of encourage them. You might highlight what the auction item is, but you don't get to do like the same kind of engagement you used to do.
That's right. Yeah. While I do miss that, I do. I miss an audience. I miss talking to an audience, but at the same time, we can still create these meaningful connections with people. And I think one misconception people have about auctioneers is that we are just that chant. That's what we do. We sell things, whatever. And so the expectation moving to virtual events for some organizations is that an auctioneer is just there to promote those auction items. So we can just talk up auction items, we can just sell. But really what I do, and what a lot of my auctioneer colleagues do well, is connect with the audience and be able to tell your nonprofit story to the audience, to engage them in the donations. And so it's a lot more, it has really turned into a glorified MC job. So what's different, what I do now than a traditional MC would do, is I weave that fundraising into every transition. So if you're hosting a virtual event, or if you have whatever it may look like, you would hire an MC to keep the cadence going and keep the energy going and keep that story going. But what an auctioneer will do, or what a fundraising auctioneer will do, I should say, is if we step into that fundraising MC role, or that fundraising host role, which is what we have now become. Now fundraising host, I guess, is what I would call myself. We can tie every transition back to that giving moment. So if we just heard a story from the executive director, we can reiterate things that they said and help them connect that to the audience in a way, and bring them back to that bidding technology, whether it's BidPal or ClickBid or Auction Harmony or whatever it may be, so that we can take these different vignettes that your nonprofit is using in a virtual gala and bring it back to how that connects to the audience, how that can bring out an emotional connection, which then also brings out money. It's all about the revenue at the end of the day, right? That's what we do. So it is way more than just the items. So yes, we highlight items and we spend some time on that, but really my role is to make sure every minute of your virtual event is profitable, because we only have about 30 minutes in these versus 4 hours for a live in-person event, right? So we need to make sure every moment is engaging and that we are bringing it back to what we're there to do, which is to connect your audience with the nonprofit through a financial contribution.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that you said there that I want to jump on. First off, it sounds like you have a book title in More Than the Chant. Sounds like a great book title.
I got to write that one down.
Take notes. We're so good at the Nonprofit Architect. Even the guests take notes. Like, that's what we're doing right now. Yes. And then you also mentioned that you're trying to maximize the giving of every minute of these things. And it makes me wonder if a 4-hour gala was really worth it. That seems like too long of an event to keep everyone's attention. I got people that have a hard time, holding their focus for a 90-minute movie when every moment is engaging. You try to stretch that to a 4-hour event. But you talked about selling. Raising money is selling. And I know in the nonprofit world, that's kind of a dirty word. Most of the time that I talk to individuals, off camera, we talk a lot about dispelling the different myths. And one of those is that you can't sell as a nonprofit. which is absolutely ridiculous. First off, you incorporate far before you change your tax status. So having t-shirts, having a way for your audience to engage and connect and provide and show that impact with what they're doing, what they care about, that's vital to get them involved. And if you can get them involved through an auction like Sarah Jean does, that's fantastic. Or if you can get them involved and make them feel like they have an impact and they can wear your t-shirt around town, that's great too. And there's no real difference. But we talked before in the show about raising money is selling, but you're selling mission and impact and belonging. And all of those things are far more important than just the word sell or just the word raise money, because you're getting people to buy into the mission with actual money, with actual dollars. And having you said fundraising host, I really think it should be a fun host, depending on how you do it. I know you're a great host. We've had Valley Adams on, who's a fantastic, also an auctioneer host. And then Patrick Kirby. If you haven't listened to my episode with Patrick Kirby, who's actually right down the road from me, is up in Fargo. That guy is so engaging. I thought we were going to do like a 40-minute conversation. That's one of my long ones. It's like well over an hour. But he holds your attention the whole stinking time. There's nothing like I couldn't shut it off if I wanted to. It was so wonderful. But I had the chance to take a little time before we spoke today, and I went on your LinkedIn and I scrolled through and I found this video for the Purple Gala at the Alzheimer's Association. And I thought it was so well put together. Even though it was one of your earlier online events, you had the Fox News 9 chief meteorologist there in Minneapolis as the host. Yourself was on screen for just about the whole stinking time. And you were really engaging, and he was engaging, and you were walking through the process. I mean, what is someone looking to do a virtual event? Like, what kind of elements do they need to include in their online event to keep people engaged for 30 or 40 minutes?
It's different than what you might think. You might think, okay, we need to entertain them. We don't need to entertain them in the sense, they can go to TikTok or YouTube if they want to be entertained by like performers, right?
Right.
But it's pulling them into the mission immediately. And when we're talking about quote unquote selling a mission, what we want to do is make sure that what we're selling is something that your audience needs. Okay. And if it isn't, we got to convince them that it is. Convince them that it is. So the first thing I always want my clients to do is to make sure that people watching know about the problem that the organization solves, right? So for Alzheimer's, which is a good example because that's what we're talking about right now, but it would be that Alzheimer's exists, and why it's a problem is how it impacts the families more so even than just the patients who have Alzheimer's, right? Because they're not always aware of it, but the families, they are watching their loved ones fall away. And during this particular time, it's when there was huge isolation. Families weren't allowed to see their loved ones who had Alzheimer's. Spouses were separated because of COVID and the high risk aspect there with the patients, right?
Yeah.
And so we started off by sharing that. We're sharing, hey, this problem exists. And as a viewer, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know families were struggling with this. And your problem may be different for your nonprofit. Maybe you are trying to make sure kids within your urban community are fed during this distance learning time, right? Because the families rely on school food, and maybe families are on food stamps, but the amount that they're receiving doesn't increase, but the amount of meals they have to provide do. And so you're now having to educate an audience on a problem that exists in the community, the problem that your organization solves. So we always start with that. Okay, there is this problem, because we want to get people to become aware of the problem. That's always the first step. So share the problem, make sure they're aware of it, because no one's going to give money to solve a problem that they don't know exists. Mm-hmm. And the other big reason behind this is you are seeing an expand in your audience with these virtual events because they're shareable with a link. So many nonprofits are seeing new donors come to their organization through this. And they're not always high level donors, but they're new donors and they're new relationships that you get to nurture going forward. And so it's really important to first educate them on what the problem is, maybe through a video, maybe through a testimonial, however you want to do it. But that's the first thing you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see with all of these events going virtual that you're not limited to Friday night at 7:00, where some people can't get off work or they work late or they want to go or they know about your mission, but they're 3 hours away. It'd be like someone in Milwaukee trying to make an event into Minneapolis and trying to set up their whole life so they can travel to get there to do this. And with a virtual event, you just got done, watching your favorite Netflix show. You click on over to the gala, you've got your snacks or wherever else, and you're like, yeah, I remember when Sarah Jean told me about this. I'm so glad I'm able to come to the event because it's online and you can pick it up on your phone or you can grab it on your laptop or whatever you happen to be doing, or on a lunch break if you're working late into the evening. So this has opened up events far and wide to anyone with internet connectivity can get involved in these things. So you're not limited to a 5K where you draw a 20-mile circle and that's your audience because that's all the people that are going to be able to show up to this thing. You now have access to the whole map. And that is just a fantastic way to get more people involved. I know that people that continue to ask and continue to do events, they're having record years. And if you're listening to this right now and you're struggling, contact Sarah Jean, contact myself, contact the guests in my other shows and ask them how to continue doing this gracefully, because you're either shutting your doors or you're having a record year. There's no real in between right now.
That's true. Yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing. It's people who are willing, organizations, and we're seeing this with businesses and organizations, people who are able to adapt right now. There's a place for them. There's a place for you if you are able to adapt. And there's a place for your donors. I think right now more than ever, donors want to feel involved. So many people are shut up in their homes and the world seems to be falling apart all around them. And they want to do something. And there's not a lot we can change right now, right? There's a lot of external things keeping us down that are out of our control, which is very stressful. But your organization you offer solutions for people, right? There are problems out there that you are solving and the donors can be a part of that, right? Donors can jump in on that. So when I'm talking about, you got to let them know there's a problem. The next thing you do is you show them how you solve that problem. And again, that could be through a video. What I've seen really works is, you kind of start off, you have the host starting, getting things warmed up, getting energy going, then maybe have a leader in your organization come on and talk about the state of things, right? This is the problems that we're seeing. This is how it's changed this year. And then we go on with a video or something really engaging, maybe a short panel discussion of what the organization is doing to solve it. That could be by showing an example of somebody that you served through your organization. It could be an example of, for the Alzheimer's Association, it was an example of a spouse. And you can watch that video. It's on my website, sarahtheauctioneer.com. But there was a video of a spouse just showing that what she has gone through and how she's connected with the Alzheimer's Association of Minnesota to really give her the support and strength she needs to walk this Alzheimer's journey with her spouse. And so that was really connecting with people. It shows how the organization serves the community. And then immediately after that, we offer the opportunity for the audience to join on in and partner with them. Now we know there's a problem. We know how we can solve the problem. And guess what? Our donors, you get to be the solution to the problem. And so that's what you're doing with these virtual events is you're really opening up this opportunity to provide hope to your donors, because guess what? They can change something. They can do something about their circumstances right now. It is not hopeless, because you are their tool. You're their tool to solve problems that they care about. And that's what I love about virtual events and events in general, and basically any type of donor communication, right? I'm kind of a nerd for it. I love it. I love talking to donors about what you do, or what my organizations do. And because all of you do such incredible work. And it's so fun to watch donors connect with that and find encouragement and hope and meaning through partnering with organizations. It's
Absolutely.
just so fun, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's why I get so excited, and I love talking to new people doing great things. It really just lights up my life. But Sarah mentioned that you're putting the donor as the hero. They're there to solve the problem. And the nonprofit is just the vector in which to do that. If you check out my interview with Jared Ledbetter, we go through the story branding framework where you, as the nonprofit, are the wise sage. They have been there and done that and is doing the work. And you position the donor as the hero, that you can't do it without them. They're the ones that have to open the wallet, open the email contact list. They have to share the mission and get involved. And through their support and their action and their donation, that they're actually able to solve this problem. Maybe not for everyone today, but you can impact one life today. And I love, love, love how that all works out.
Right. And actually, if anyone listening, if you haven't gone through StoryBrand, it will be a game changer for your communication. And I've done that course. I've gone through it for my business, and that's how I apply. I do apply that to how I speak to audiences. So I go through that with each of my clients, that framework, and I simplify it a little bit to make it so that we can break it down in tangible pieces of how we're going to use those as segments within a virtual gala. But that is a great framework for all of your donor communication needs. So I don't know, Travis, you should get like some sort of affiliate stuff for StoryBrand. Who was that consultant that you had? What was his name again?
Jared Ledbetter.
Okay, Jared Ledbetter. Contact him if he can help you. But I know there's a book out there, but man, the course is worth every penny if you can do the in-person workshop, especially. It's really important to make sure that you're looking at those donors as the ones who are making an impact through your organization. Absolutely. And if we can communicate them with that way, we really engage them in, because they're tuning into a really meaningful 30-minute program.
Absolutely. I mean, you keep their attention the whole time. You walk them through the hero's journey where they're the hero and they get to come in and save the day at the end. I love all of this. So we've got the education, right? We've told them what the problem is. We show how it impacts, hopefully, the people in the organization and the people that you bring on. You share that solution, what your programs are doing to make the impact, to move the needle, to actually help the group of people. And then you ask for their partnership right away. Say, this is how you can get involved. This is how you can put your dollars to work to help people in your community. Is that it? Are we done? We shut it down after that?
No, we're not done yet. So we do that. That would probably take up the first 10, 15 minutes of the program. And so we're looking at a 30-minute program here. So we do an intro. We bring on leadership to share about what the problem is. We have a video to share to get you to really care about the problem and show how the organization can impact it. And then bam, we do that ask. We do that formal ask is what it would be, where I would step in or other auctioneers, whatever it might be. But you would walk them through the technology. Here's how you give. Let's do it. Now, this is where it's going to look different. If you do a live in-person event, we would do that fund a need. And we would build momentum up throughout the whole night. Usually we've had dinner, we've had several, we've had speakers, we've had videos. And then whether or not you do a live auction before it or after it is based on every organization. It's going to be different. But at that point, you would spend 10 minutes doing a fund a need. Right? I would be working the crowd. I would be, starting at the very top. Okay, who has $50,000? We have one right here. Thank you so much. And we have another one at $50,000. If you can make an impact at $25,000, let's do it right now. We have $25,000. Thank you so much. And I walk around and I thank everyone. I look them in the eye. I thank them. I get everyone else applauding. The momentum and fire in the room it's so good, isn't it? Even down to that $50 level where you just get people in the air. So much fun. But in a virtual event, where is everyone? They're in their pajamas at home, not seeing what anyone else is doing. And so when we do this initial ask, we want to have some people as momentum donors who maybe have given earlier in the evening, because you will see that as people begin to register, you're going to start seeing those donations come in. Have those names handy so you can say, thank you, George and Kim, for your generosity tonight. We're already seeing these donations come through. We're so grateful for you. And you thank who you have, because there is going to be a little delay coming through with some of the donations as they're navigating the phones. And so then you would move to something else. You could maybe say, while you're giving right now, let's take a look at some of our top volunteers for the year, and then slide into a video of volunteers. Or another thing I love to do at this point is thank sponsors. So we can say, thank you to all of you who are giving so generously right now. We couldn't do it without you, and we couldn't do it without our sponsors. Let's go through and thank our sponsors in this moment. And so we can move into different storytelling moments or different specific aspects of your program. I know a lot of people have awards at their annual galas. You can still do that, but don't do it at the beginning of the program, please. Do it after you've done that initial ask. And a great way to transition out of it, again, is thank you to all of those who are giving. And while you're continuing to partner with us right now, I want to introduce somebody who continues to make an impact year after year. Here's our Volunteer of the Year award. And then we move into that. And then we can just continue to go through the program that way. And then what your fundraising host would do is, as we come out of that, we can say, thank you to, I'm laughing at you. I'm watching you here going through. Travis is on my screen, just giggling.
My dogs are going nuts over here. I've been on mute trying to get them to be quiet, and they're just wrestling and squeaking the toy and just going absolutely bonkers right now. I'm trying to have a very serial discussion with Sarah on Zoom right now. And my dogs are like, but Dad, it's playtime. I
know. You're like, keep talking. And I'm like, what is going on at your side of the screen?
Oh, my goodness.
If there's one thing I can do, though, Travis, is just keep talking forever, that's
one of the things that you mentioned was one of your perks. If you hire Sarah, she will just keep talking the entire time.
I will keep talking. You know what? I did one the other night. We had incredible technical difficulty issues, and it ended up delaying the event by 30 minutes. They were stuck on there an additional 30 minutes. And I did not stop talking once. One of the other gals was able to hop on, and we just seamlessly had a conversation that spread it for an additional half hour. We lost no viewers.
Wow.
It lasted an additional half hour. We didn't lose a single viewer during that time. I'm like watching the tick, just expecting those numbers, the little red box at the top with the numbers. I'm like, this is going to drop. This is going to drop. And they just kept going. We just kept going until we could get these auction items that they wanted loaded. We turned it into an extended conversation of a fund a need. And that's when we just got some donations during that time. It was not ideal, but we worked it. So, I mean, that's what you do with these. You're doing it live, and you have to know how to keep engaging your audience to do that. And so, go for it.
Did you help get some of these auction items? Because I was looking at the Purple Gala, and you've got golfing at some of the best courses in Minnesota, a ski trip out to Bachelor Gulch, Colorado. You got tickets, essentially front row tickets to the Vikings, the Twins, the Wild, and the Timberwolves. And then you also got tickets to New York City, 2 plane tickets to watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. And it almost sounds like Watch What Happens Live would be right up your alley.
Right? Because it's all about going live. With my clients, I always try to get them to tap into their networks, tap into their donor bases to really get those items. And so we do a lot of brainstorming, talk about what is going well, what items are selling hot this year. And in 2020, it is a little different than what it has been in the past, and help them tap into their networks to get those 100% donated rather than doing the consignment items, right? Because I want all the revenue to be going to the nonprofit. So with them, that's what they did. Unfortunately for us, so many people are impacted by Alzheimer's. So that's one of the reasons why they have so many great items, is that it is such a rampant disease. So they have a huge network that we were able to tap into for that. So it's kind of a two sides of the coin there. They have a lot, they were able to access a lot of really good connections because unfortunately so many people are impacted by it. And we're so excited to help with these incredible items. But that's what we do. We take a look at, who's in your network, who can you reach out to? Before the show, we were talking about building email lists as a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I try and coach them on is, your donors want to help you and they don't always know what that looks like. They don't know that if they own a restaurant or have a brother that owns a restaurant, that could be a fabulous auction item to create this chef's dinner experience. They don't know how valuable that connection could be. And all we need to do is let them know that it's out there, and you will be so surprised who's going to step up and partner with you that way.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're listening to this right now and you're frustrated with your contact list, your donor base, your board, your employees, your volunteers, your neighbor, it's probably because they don't know the best way to help support you. Correct. They know that you're doing something, but you haven't told them the best way that they can help you. One of the things I talk about with my clients is, have you asked your network to share this Facebook post? Well, they should be sharing anyway. True, but if they don't know that's the best way to help you with one click and a couple of words like, hey, check out Sarah's great stuff at sarahtheauctioneer.com, Sarah with an H, then they're not going to do it because they don't know what you need. If they don't know that it would be super impactful to even give $10 a month to the organization, and you haven't told them that, they're not going to give $10 a month to the organization. And if they have no idea you would love the chance for their Uncle Al to share his experience out on the ranch with some crazy donor, or that's something that you're even interested in, they won't know unless you said, hey, doesn't your uncle have this cool ranch? Wouldn't it be great if we could get him to donate a free writing lesson to the organization so we could auction that off? That would be so cool if you could help us partner in that way. They're like, oh yeah, Al, he's a great guy. He loves giving. But they never thought of it because you didn't ask. Don't be scared to let people bless you. You're worth blessing.
Oh, for sure. And they do need to be prompted. I mean, people, your donors need to be prompted. And we've learned this through virtual events. Like, you have to tell people now is the time to give. I mean, you'll get some trickle donations because people know why they're there, but they're waiting for you to say, now is the time that we're going to give. And they love being thanked. They love hearing those names on the screen. I mean, you can even do just first names if you want to protect some of your donors online, just their privacy. But you can, as soon as you start thanking people, you see more names pop through with that. But yeah, for the donations, that's really what it comes down to, is getting really creative. We like to get people in a room and think, like, what would you like to win? Like, what sorts of experiences would you like to see? And as you get in your group of your volunteers or your committee or your staff talking about that, you start thinking about, okay, this donor, they might not be your annual, $50,000, $100,000 donor. They might be someone who gives, $250 a year, but that they have a cabin up north, or I'm in Minnesota, so we talk about up north a lot. But they might have a luxury cabin up north that people could go visit and stay at, which is a great item because it's drivable. It's easy for people to access, and it's not international travel, which who knows when we'll get to do that anytime soon. It's a really great opportunity to bring those donors in just a really creative way. And there's nothing wrong with consignment items. They're great if you want those items on there. I just think that your mission is so powerful. Are your dogs being crazy again?
they're just going absolutely nuts.
Your mission as a nonprofit is powerful enough to get those funds. It's powerful enough to motivate people to give if we tell that story right, if we connect with your audience in the right way. So I don't think we necessarily need consignment items all the time. They are a great asset if we can get the right ones. Because we can sell multiple of them and all of that fun things. But you have so many resources that you can get 100% donated if we can work you through it.
And don't underestimate your power as the head of an organization or the face of an organization. I have a lot of friends here in the Oklahoma City area, and one is a former NFL player, and he is really connected in the NFL Players Association in the region, and he has a nonprofit where he goes into schools and helps speak life into their organizations, and he feels like he gets to be a pastor in the locker room for all these great places. And I was like, cool, are you having your board, who's NFL players, go talk to and connect with donors? He's like, oh, not really. I was like, as a regular person, I would be pretty excited to get a call from insert name here from the Chargers, or insert name here from the Vikings, or insert name here from the Raiders.
Right.
Like, absolutely. And he's like, really? I was like, for some regular people, they don't get to connect with people that were professional athletes. That's not a day-to-day occurrence. Just because you know 100 of them doesn't mean anyone else does. And I was like, do you know what would be really cool? And he's like, what's that? I was like, people pay you for the opportunity or the chance to play a flag football game with former NFL players.
Oh, I know.
And he's like, really? You think that would be a good idea? Like, I kind of think it'd be a great idea.
They would pay so much money for that. That is a great item. And there's a lot of things that organizations can donate for free. Like, I've worked with the Minnesota Wild in the past, and they have opportunities that they sell, and it's all on behalf of the local children's hospital here, where they kick 2 of their staff members off a plane. So 2 people can go to an away game on the team plane with them to a game. And it's just like an overnight trip. And they get to be on the plane with the players. Then they get, rink side seats. I wanted to say courtside, but that's the wrong sport.
I want to be behind the penalty box so I can razz the other team. That's what I want to do.
Right, exactly. And it's so they get these experiences that cost really nothing to the organization, but being like, okay, well, our PR and social person aren't going to be on our plane this time. They have to stay home and tweet from home. And they bring donors on instead. And I mean, they pay out the wazoo. I mean, it's so many tens of 20s of thousands of dollars just for a one night to go to a game that costs the organization absolutely nothing to produce.
And what a great experience for the donor.
So fun.
They get involved and they get to go around the plane and take selfies with all the team and get to talk to them and tell them how much they appreciate what they're doing in the sports world. And how great is that just for the organization overall, both the nonprofit and the sports team, because it costs neither side really anything. And now you have an evangelist for life. Like, I got to go do this experience. It was wonderful. I can't believe how fantastic this was. And, this was, so I got to take a selfie with this person, and they allowed me to engage, and I got to just, fanish or fanatic, and they just got to just go crazy and wig out on this thing. What a great way to show appreciation. What a great way to really get people involved.
So those are sorts of things you can ask people if they can do, because organizations or businesses or sports teams, I mean, they want to be seen as doing good. It's good PR for them too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. So don't be afraid to ask. I mean, you might get a no, but that's all you have is a no, but someone there knows who you are now. They're aware of your organization.
I love that you brought that up, because you might get a no. Look, it's already a no if you don't ask.
Yes.
If you don't ask, it's a guaranteed no. They just don't tell you to your face.
Right.
So the only chance you have for a yes is to ask. And if you're coming from a place of good and you're really wanting to help and impact people's lives, most of the time, if they're able, it's an easy yes. So why wouldn't you go for the easy yes instead of being satisfied with all these no's?
Right. And the other good thing that you can do is you can offer them opportunities in response. I mean, they could get sponsorship recognition. They could get, maybe you are going to be doing like a PR blitz for your event. Maybe you're going to have it mentioned on the news or in the local paper or whatever it may be. You can say, hey, XYZ sports team has donated this great opportunity. Not only is that good PR for them, let them know that you're going to do that. Let them know that they'll be included in on that, because that is more appealing to them to get that sort of PR. but also it gets people to want to come to your event or watch your virtual event, especially if it's virtual, because literally anyone can come to those. So it's easy. It's a way to not only double promote your event, but offer the donor who's donating the incredible item something else that makes them look good, provides them with positive PR. And so it's really a win-win situation for everyone if you can sell it that way. And I say sell, if you can, what's a less intimidating word, Travis? If you can present
that way. Present that way. Partner.
Partner, yes. Oh, good word. Well done.
I do this quite often. So, but if she just mentioned some great things in there, Sarah, as always, is on point. But if contacting the media is intimidating, check out my interview with Lori McNeil, and she'll walk you step by step how she gets on every media outlet imaginable. And then you can go to, it's like, hey, I actually have a spot with Fox News later today, and I can drop in there how great you are as the Minnesota Wild organization, sharing your playing with such a cool event and a behind the scenes thing. And then you get to tag them in something great that's going to go out far beyond. And those kind of stories are what gets picked up by national news, things like that. I connected with someone in Oklahoma recently because I was scrolling through. I was hitting all the news outlets on because I think it's funny to watch the aftermath of the election on different news channels. I think that's just the greatest thing ever because people are just wildly different. But I popped through CNN and I saw one of these local events in the center of the country. And I was like, oh, this is from Tulsa. And then I hopped on her LinkedIn. I was like, hey, you're doing nonprofit stuff. I saw you on CNN. And like, oh, really? I made it to CNN? Absolutely. And I'd love to talk to you about having you on the show and what you're doing in the nonprofit world. And she's like, this is so crazy. But something so simple like that gets traded up the media to national news. And all of a sudden it gives chance for people that you never would have been able to contact are now finding you on social media, finding you on your website or contacting you to see how they can partner with what you're doing because they love hearing good stuff on the news, not just the drama or the bad stuff. And then again, taking out an ad to where that organization already has their advertisements and making sure that you're getting an ad in, a thank you spot in the place that their constituents, their buyers, their market is already finding them at. Instead of doing it just on your page and where your supporters can see the good work, you're going out to where they're already marketing, and you can contact their marketing or PR person to see where they're putting their ads, and you can go to that same location and get an ad, a thank you with your organization and theirs, and that has a much bigger impact for the business.
Yeah, that's effective media spend right there. I love it.
So Sarah, I love all the stuff you talked about with events. We've talked about the education, sharing your solution, asking for partnership, the thank yous. We've talked about auctioneering and how to get great items. Where can people contact you to get more value? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I can be found on the internet.
I'm on the interwebs, Travis, duh.
Yeah, go ahead, connect with me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Sarah Jean Knox over there. Or just straight on my website, Sarah the Auctioneer. I own both domains, so don't worry about spelling Sarah wrong. You'll get you there. And I have a whole page on virtual events, and I have a whole free guide on planning those virtual events. So that goes through, it's a 21-page guide. If you just don't even know where to start, I have pulled that together with what works, how to DIY it, how to work with professional production crews to do it, how to tell your story, how to get it in there in that 30 minutes. And all of that is it's a great starting point for that. So go ahead and it's just totally free. We just need it right now, right? We just need some guidance and some help. And that's what we're doing, right, Travis? We're just like, how can we make our nonprofits more impactful? And so, go ahead and grab that on there, or, just shoot me a question if you have any. I'm happy to help.
Absolutely. And I love that you're like every other guest I have. They want you to contact them and talk about how great they were on the show, or I can't believe Travis's dogs were being a pain in the butt, or how can I get your services and what's the link to your guide? I'm going to have those links in the show notes. So when you're done driving, you get to work, you can just click on them, take you right to the website and get in contact and see all the great stuff that Sarah is doing. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being on the show today. I know we had some dogs playing in the background. We've had some technical difficulties, but like you said, you just can talk forever. So I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for having me. It has been so fun, and I love what you are doing here. You're making a huge impact, Travis, and it's important work. So I hope you recognize that, because it is.
Thank you so much.
You've been listening to The Nonprofit Architect. To listen to all our past shows, visit http://nonprofitarchitect.org. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and review our show. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. Being able to educate your board is one of the most important ways for a leader to build strong relationships and foster a positive and productive culture between board members and their executive director. Run by leadership expert Mark Buzan, the Nonprofit Board Summit provides outstanding know-how, resources, and tips for leaders looking to step up and unlock the full potential of their endeavors. If you're a nonprofit executive director looking to build a stronger board, visit nonprofitboardsummit.org/EDS. Or if you're a board member looking to make more of an impact, visit nonprofitboardsummit.org. The Nonprofit Board Summit runs from February 26th through the 28th. I'll hope to see you there.